Hello guys, and welcome to hangout number 117 with the International Full Slope Timeline. I decided to call this episode Rape Complaint Withdrawn, which speaks for itself, but I've got a lot of other things to cover in some depth, and I'll go through them in no particular order. First, Alexander Economou has a book out. You'll find this unfortunate fellow on the timeline. He was accused of rape by a woman who was malicious as well as seriously not right in the head. And after he proved she was lying, the case was dropped. He was never actually charged with rape, but he was arrested. After the case was dropped, he brought a private prosecution case, and 3 days before she was due to go on trial, she hanged herself. There was a lot more to it than that. He was a victim of, well, sheer malice by two of the most evil women in Britain, including the most corrupt lawyer in Britain. And he's publishing a book that's out in October. He advised me of it recently. So, visit the timeline. I'll put a link to his place on the timeline. He's also got a blog, and I'm hoping that this will. I hope it sells well and he does well for himself, because he's been through hell. Right, Prince Andrew. I won't say too much about him. The other night I watched a video that was actually made in 2019, in which Mark Fuhrman was interviewed at length. I think it was entirely an interview with Fuhrman for I say at length, I mean at length. And he remarked on that. He said that he found Andrew, I'll paraphrase, he found Andrew unconvincing, and said, what would you say? She was 17, but she looked 21. She told him she was 21. He wasn't impressed with Andrew, but he wasn't impressed with his accuser either. I've made a number of videos about Prince Andrew. What really does annoy me about this case is the way the media has it's just absolutely outrageous. His accuser, the odious Virginia Roberts, the former Virginia Roberts, gave an interview in 2011 in which she's claimed to have had sex with him, all perfectly consensual, legal, yada yada yada. And then years later, oh, I was abused by a member of the royal family. No, Virginia, you were a chiselling little whore, and you still are. Candace Owens has. This is the woman who Glenn Beck said will be president one day. I still haven't ruled that out, but she's made claims about the wife of the Prime Minister of France, which how can I put it? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Did I say Prime Minister? I meant President. Yeah, Emmanuel Macron. I haven't listened to any of these yet, but apparently she's been having phone conversations with Harvey Weinstein, who is serving at what in Britain would be called His Majesty's pleasure. And it seems to me she believes that Weinstein was a victim of a diabolical Hollywood conspiracy. No, I've no doubt that, I mean, these women who accused him, basically, if the choice is between claiming I dropped my knickers to get a part in a film, I dropped my knickers to a squint-eyed, repulsive, obese Jew, or I was raped by a film producer. No, I believe that these allegations have very little credibility. I don't think it's a great conspiracy. The parallel here is with the Bill Cosby case. He was Again, I'll put a link to my major video about Cosby, the part about extra glory all read. This woman and the media framed Cosby as a serial rapist. Harvey Weinstein, I think, is something similar. I don't think there's a great conspiracy there, only a conspiracy of silence and lying little tarts. There was one incident in particular in which he was accused of indecently assaulting an actress stroke model, and he actually did admit touching her breast, but the police or the FBI wired her up and sent her back to him, and instead of dragging her into his hotel room, it could have come across as very nasty, but this is a man who has boundaries, and I'm repulsive though he is, I'm inclined not to believe any of his accusers. Anyway, there's a retrial soon. Right, let's look at one or two other things. A couple of stories here from London Metro, but they've been reported elsewhere as well. This one is lorry driver jailed for 14 years after removing condom during sex. Condoms are yuck, I mean, no. He met this woman through a dating app using a false name. They had sex at her home in Islington. When after raped the victim, he requested he wear a condom. As he left the address, he told him it was HIV, which was later revealed to be a lie. There's actually more to this, I suppose, but he did other things as well. He was using, I suppose you'd call it, non-consensual images. I mean, I don't know. Two separate. Let's disclose a private image towards two separate victims. And there's another one here. This is February 27th. Man in his 20s raped. A police hunt for attacker in dark hooded top. Police are searching for a suspect believed to have raped a man in his 20s in Newcastle city centre. I'll keep my eye on this because when I hear about men being raped, a lot of these stories, there's no follow-up to them. I mentioned that in one of my videos. A story I only heard about it. I was watching Lady Colleen Campbell's channel, and she talked about a young woman had been to her son has had put on some sort of music festival, and Lady Colleen came downstairs. Well, she got up one morning and there were police all over the place, and it was a claim that a woman had been raped in the middle of the lawn. And it turned out she came to the concert with one dude, the festival with one dude, and had sex with another. I found it was actually all over the Mail Online. It was reported by the local press as well, but there was no retraction. So a lot of these cases, they just die the death. They don't. The authorities don't bother to. Well, certainly the press don't bother to follow them up. And another genuine case here. This is from the Standard. Twickenham man jailed for grooming and raping a 12-year-old girl in South London. Richard Bosworth travelled more than 120 miles from his home to abuse 12-year-old girl he groomed on social media. I can only say this one more time. Where are the parents? What are 12-year-olds doing using social media unsupervised? I really don't know. I think this girl's parents really better show herself with this guy because it's just unbelievable. Okay, this is a relatively new thing. I mean, social media has only been around 20 odd years, but just unbelievable, man. Something else I was going to mention before. Colleen Nolan, one of the Nolan sisters who died recently, is claimed to have been groped by Rolf Harris. And Jimmy Savile, is still people parroting rubbish about Jimmy Savile. There's another Metro story here, again widely reported. This is, paste the link. February 9th. Jimmy Savile's rotting lair in Scottish Highlands engulfed in flames. The former home of disgraced television presenter Jimmy Savile was caught fire. Disgraced by whom? And it goes on to say, police raided the property a year after his death to look for evidence of Savile's horrific crimes, and they found none, obviously. As several victims came forward after he died, it's now thought he abused up to 20 victims in the property. Or maybe he didn't abuse anyone, ever. But, I mean, Kelly J. Keane Minshall, a woman who is a force of nature, one of her meetings she was talking about Savile abusing bodies in the mortuary. That story appears to have been started by Paul Gambaccini. Maybe it's a bit of a laugh, and he ended up being accused himself. But I actually spoke to, I won't name him, but he's a politician, or used to be a politician. I've seen, he's been interviewed a number of times. I corresponded with him. He's a Republican, let me say that, an anti-royalist, if you like, believes in abolition of monarchy. And he said he had it on good authority that Savile abused bodies in the mortuary. I mean, some of the lies told about Savile are absolutely ridiculous. Ayanna Pressley, that odious, bald woman, member of the squad in the Democratic Party, she found stuff about her. She claimed to have been sexually abused as a child and raped as a student. Yeah, I bet you were, bitch. Like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, any man who raped her or tried to rape her had his eyes clawed out, and she never stopped talking about it. She would have reported it, and if she didn't report it, she's complicit. So, don't believe any of that rubbish. Right, now let's get on to, just one more. This is very, here we are. This is from rapecrisis.org.uk. Rape crisis centres at risk of closure without a commitment to continue funding after March 2025. Good. 47% of rape crisis centre managers and directors are expecting a reduction in their core funding. These centres, I mean, therapy is bunk. Therapy is surrogate friendship. Counselling, no. And certainly in the United States, they've encouraged women to make false allegations to reinterpret their sordid consensual sexual encounters as rape. And it's rubbish here. This year, centres are already oversubscribed. Nearly 14,000 survivors are waiting for service. And the latest analysis of rape crisis waiting list data revealed that over 80% of those on waiting lists are waiting for specialist counselling services. What? You were raped? Maybe. Get over it. Move on with your life. And I'll put a link here to my video, 2 thought experiments concerning rape. If you have been raped, watch that. And if you haven't been raped, watch it. Okay, now we come on to just one more. Just one more. This is from the Irish Times. This is Marilyn Manson still in the news. Marilyn Manson unmasked. I felt so violated. I didn't call it rape for many, many years, says ex-partner. This is Evan Rachel Wood. Well, it's Channel 4's grim expose. The rock singer raped her during filming a music video. There's a female vlogger, goes by Colonel Kurtz, who's done a lot of research on this case. And Manson, he has an image. His real name is Brian Warner. Manson's his stage name. But he, that's his image, and this woman has thoroughly, I've read some of her stuff. She's thoroughly debunked Evan Rachel Wood, and this is again media. You know, the way they treated Bill Cosby, Rolf Harris, dare I say Harvey Weinstein. It's really disgraceful. Okay, now we come on to the main theme: rape complaints that are retracted. That's my setup wires. If you're wondering what that noise is. and the creaky desk, of course. Right, here we go. You might notice I've put on another shirt. It was quite warm here yesterday, but this pirate scout of mine, it's colder than outside all the time. Well, before I mention this, I said, was it Colleen Nolan? I said it was Linda Nolan, who was claimed to have been groped backstage by Rolf Harris at a concert in South Africa. Yeah. Anyway, the big one, big retraction is Sean Carter. I don't want to call him Jay-Z, but he's part of somebody who hangs around, or used to hang around with Sean Combs. I'm not going to call Sean Carter Jay-Z, as no I'm going to call Sean Combs Diddy or the Diddler or anything like that. Sean Carter was sued pseudonymously by a Jane Doe through a corrupt lawyer, basically, and he issued a response to that, and they did some research, and apparently his accuser, who's still anonymous, is, not quite right in the head, and she said to retract. It's all a bit confusing, but she said to retract. Well, she's dropped the suit and admitted that she wasn't raped by him, and now we're not sure where we are now. But and on February 14th, Carter's lawyer issued a below statement in response to the dismissal of Tony Busby's Jane Doe lawsuit with prejudice. Today's the victory. The frivolous, fictitious and appalling allegations have been dismissed. This civil suit was without merit and never going anywhere. The fictional tale they created was laughable, if not for the seriousness of the claims. I would not wish this experience on anyone. I would. The trauma that my wife, my children, my loved ones and I have endured can never be dismissed. Yada, yada, yada. But he's suing the lawyer now, and he's said to be suing this woman as well. Well, he's lost a lot of money over it. I mean, most more falsely accused men should do this. Some have done it. Well, Alexander Economou, of course, I just mentioned. Michael Flatley, the dancer, he's on the timeline as well. He was accused of raping a woman with whom he had a one-night stand in Las Vegas. But others have done, and I'd say if Bill Cosby had sent a cease and desist letter to Gloria Allred, he might not have ended up in prison at all. And here, I don't know, but the operation, discussed the Operation Eupatry witch hunt. But no, men need to react more vigorously to these sort of calumnies. I mean, they come forward years and decades later, claim to have been raped by men with whom they had consensual sex or no sex at all. Or in some cases, I doubt that woman even ever met Carter. Right, here, this is from the Courier, Leamington. Well, this is leamingtontoday.co.uk, but this is the hard copy. November 19, 2004. 3 men arrested for rape are no longer being investigated by the police after the complaint was withdrawn. An appeal for information has been launched over the alleged attack on a 17-year-old girl on Sunday night in bushes off St Helens Road, Leamington. The men, two aged 16, and one aged 36, were arrested in Tackbrook Road on the same night and granted bail, but the allegation was later dropped. Neither the men or the girl can be identified for legal reasons. Now, that was also reported by the Press and Journal, which is a newspaper well, it's the main newspaper of Aberdeen. It's one of the main newspapers in Scotland. The bottom of page 9, November 17, 2004, rape allegations. A girl has withdrawn a rape allegation which led to the arrest of two 60-year-old boys and a man aged 36. Boys this time. A man aged 36, police said yesterday. The 17-year-old contacted Warwickshire police on Sunday, claiming she'd been attacked at Leamington Spa. A spokesman said 3 males were released without charge. So, I mean, I think they're just the only 2 reports I could find. The original report of the rape, the phantom rape, didn't make its way to the press. There were so many of these, so many of them. There's one here from, this is Shropshire Star, November 22nd, 1997, page 15. Rape complaint is withdrawn. Police have revealed that a woman who was allegedly raped by the north door of Hereford Cathedral has withdrawn her complaint. Praise the Lord! Detectives investigating the 25-year-old woman's allegations said police inquiries into the matter have now been concluded. The rape was alleged to have taken place during the early hours of Thursday. There is no question of the lady involved facing charges of wasting police time in connection with this matter, said police. In other words, seriously? 1997, the next one. This is the news, Portsmouth City Final, November 25th, 1977. Here we have false call woman needed doctor. Police officers spent some time one Sunday evening searching Southsea Common for a woman who made a telephone call to the exchange saying she was going to be raped. She added that afterwards she would commit suicide. Mr. Brian Morley, prosecuting, told Portsmouth magistrates. The woman, Norma Green, 37, had dialed 100 to contact the operator. First 3 calls were traced to the Borough Arms in Southsea. Excuse my straining, it's printed a bit small, larger here. At 11:25 p.m. she dialed 191, used for reporting defects, and said she had been raped and she had a cut on her head where her brains fell out. The call was traced to a kiosk in Southsea and police found Green there with a receiver in her hand. Questioned. She was unsteady on her feet, her eyes were glazed, and she said, "Thank goodness you've come." There was no cut on her head and questioned about her statement. Questioned. She was unsteady on her feet, her eyes were glazed, and she said, "Thank goodness you've come." There was no cut on her head and questioned about her statement she'd been raped. She replied, "Forget about it." Green admitted making the 4 false calls, so she was trying to contact a doctor who would help her, etc. I mean, seriously. Etc. She'd been both an inpatient and outpatient at St James Hospital, and she had no one to turn to except a doctor at the hospital. This is from the Express and Star, Wolverhampton newspaper. Town Final, largest evening sale in the Midlands, December 27th, 1990. Small article on page 33, is that? Page 33. Rape claim withdrawn. A police hunt for 4 men who allegedly raped a Wolverhampton mother has been called off after the woman withdrew the allegation. The search began last Friday when the 24-year-old woman walked into Birmingham Road police station to report the rape. She claimed she was forced into a car in the Balsall Heath area of Birmingham. Enlarging this doesn't do a lot of good. Well, it's a bit blurred. Anyway, still blurred. Process is blurred. I'm very focal. So. She claimed she was forced into a car in the Balsall Heath area of Birmingham, where she was working as a prostitute, and driven to the Licky Hills beauty spot south of the city, when she was attacked in Monument Lane between Rednall and Rubery. Detective Inspector James Jex of Redditch CID said the woman had withdrawn the allegation and police were no longer treating the matter as rape. This is one from the front page of the Gloucestershire Echo, March 5th, 1996. Rape claim withdrawn. A woman who said she was raped on her way home from a Cheltenham night spot has withdrawn the allegation. The 24-year-old said she was attacked in Sandford Park at 3 a.m. on Sunday by a man who had offered to walk with her. The woman, who had been to Club Mondo in Bath Road, said the incident took place on a bench. Police spokesman Inspector Dean Walker said, following further inquiries, she has now withdrawn her complaint. These are all English newspapers, but anyone recently to the timeline of a bloke in Kentucky who was accused of dragging a 12-year-old boy into the bushes and doing things to him which no man should do to another man, not for a 12-year-old boy. And the guy was arrested and bailed. The boy had two friends with him who backed up his story, but it turned out that it was completely manufactured, completely made up. I added that to the timeline recently. The other day, a lot of these cases, I say these women, they get drunk out of their tiny minds. They mix alcohol with recreational drugs, prescription drugs, over-the-counter drugs. They cough off with blokes they wouldn't normally touch on a barge pole, and then they withdraw their consent retroactively. And some of them, they just have flashbacks for, and some are just not right, seriously not right in the head. So avoid women like that, avoid them like the plague. Now, this one is from an Irish newspaper, the Drogheda Independent, August 19, 2005, page 10. An alleged rape victim withdraws complaint by Jimmy Cunningham. Now, the quality of this really is bad. I'll try to enlarge it. Well, I will enlarge it, but it's still not very good. A woman who alleged she was sexually assaulted, abducted by two men before being dumped in a forest on the outskirts of Drogheda has withdrawn a complaint to Gardaí. The woman claimed she left a Drogheda nightclub when she was approached by the two men who had been cruising the town in a white high-powered car. She said she did not know attackers and that the horrific sexual assault occurred at the forest at Townley Hall. At the forest. The alleged attack took place in June 2005. And this was, let's say, August 19th. Where are we? The woman claimed she was attacked during a terrifying 4-hour ordeal, which only ended when the two men sped off. 5 young men who came across the woman brought her to Drogheda Garda Station. Gardaí have since questioned two men. Her father has been sent to DPP. The woman alleged she was taken from the streets of Drogheda sometime after 1 a.m. and arrived at the local Garda station at 5:21 a.m. At the time, Gardaí observed that the woman was dishevelled, confused and disoriented when she arrived at the station, i.e. drunk. She was immediately taken to the Sexual Offences Unit at the Rotunda Hospital in Dublin, where a medical examination was carried out. Since the complaint, Gardaí have taken video footage from a number of security cameras in the town. So, I think this is another case of a woman. Nightclub spells it all. There's actually, in the database, there's a comment from an Irish police officer about, he said that what happens is a woman will come to the police station, claims she's been raped, and they'll go to the nightclub and they get the CCTV, her and the guy who's meant to have done it, all over each other. And Rape Crisis didn't like that, but what do they know? I think I'll leave it there, but my point is a lot of allegations are withdrawn. And they're withdrawn not for the reason the sexual grievance industry says that women don't want to go through with it, yada yada yada. They're withdrawn because they're clearly frivolous, or women sober up, or because of the consequences of, you know, pursuing false allegations. And don't forget, there's medical evidence. There was medical evidence before DNA profiling and before CCTV was everywhere. So I think there are a hell of a lot of cases which aren't reported. I mean, I've been approached by people. There's 1 or 2 cases in the database which you won't find in the media. One case in particular of a guy who was in Northern Ireland who contacted me. Really weird case. I'll leave it at that. I ain't done a great deal to force up timeline lately, but I'm going to be out to start a big project soon, which is going to take up a lot of my time. I'm still trying to keep writing for Substack, but I've got a project. Material, all the material is on my hard disk, but I'm going to put it together and annotate it. It's not related to false rape allegations. Anyway, as usual, you know where I am. Anyone who wants to send me anything, including money, but cases, I do get people send me stuff from time to time, and maybe I will make another hangout next month if I'm still alive and at liberty, which even money.